Well, what's going on, everybody? I'm Dan, and this is Midwest Angling. And today we're doing a special video. We are doing I don't really do videos like this very often. You know, it was an idea that I had from buying some camping equipment, and so I wanted to put it to the test. You see videos like this all the time on YouTube, so I guess I might as well get my share of the pie. We are doing a $100 Walmart camping challenge. Now, this is a fishing channel if you're new here, but one thing that we we, from time to time, I like to pull up on islands on the lake that I like to fish and camp out for the night. And then it's nice to wake up and be right there on the water, ready to go the next day. And so I thought I wanted to do one. I haven't done one yet this season. And so what better way than to kind of have a theme to it? So that's the deal. I've got $100 worth of camping gear from Walmart, and that kind of represents the minimum amount that you would need to get in order to get out there and go camping, right? It's basically the bare minimum. And so, yeah, we're gonna pull up on an island and we're gonna make it happen. I got a couple nice cheap budget meals that we're gonna cook for supper and breakfast. And we're gonna do that cooking over the campfire. So we're gonna get up here, launch the boat. I gotta grab some bait. Fortunately, your old pal Dano here is pretty good friends with the folks up at the Bighorn store. Now, because it's after hours, by the time I'm getting out here, I just got done work. Being friends with a bait shop has its perks, so they're gonna set aside some bait for me so I can show up there. We'll be all set, ready to go. So we're gonna go grab that, and we're gonna go launch the boat, and then we're gonna go out on the island. It's an island that I've camped on before on this channel. We get a couple hours before it's nighttime, so we should have plenty of time to set up camp, get a fire going, cook some supper. Maybe we can get out there and catch some catfish tonight. Otherwise, we'll pick up fishing in the morning. All right. Nice and easy. So before we do anything, why don't we start off by going over all the gear that we've got here today. Now, like I said before, all this stuff came from Walmart, and I got it all together for about $100. And I also brought some items that I already had because, you know, if you're trying to camp on a budget, what you should really be doing is trying to repurpose as much stuff as you possibly can. So to start off, you're gonna need something to sleep in. So this right here is the Ozark Trail warm weather mummy sleeping bag. Now, this was actually the item that started this whole thing off. It's pretty compact, and I have a sleeping bag that works very well. It's very warm, but this one's so much more compact, it fits right in a backpack. And so I wanted to give this one a try. This is $20, it used to be $15, but this is $20 to start off our budget. Now this next thing is something that we're gonna need to use to blow up our air mattress, and that is an air pump. Now I don't like traditional like 1/2 inch thick foam mat. I don't know how anybody can sleep on those. I did pick up an air mattress, and you know, there's no electricity out here. So we needed a way to blow up our bed. So this is, I think it's $9. Now I have actually already used this. We had a camp out with the Cub Scouts for my son about a month ago now. And we did need to use this to blow it up. And I can tell you right now, you gotta make sure that you hold it in there while you're pumping, boys. Phrasing. So we got a way to blow up our bed. This next thing is a mess kit. And it's pretty compact, it's all stainless steel. And this was $11, I believe. Now, it did come with a measuring cup for doing like those pre-made Mountain House meals. It does have a kettle for boiling water. It also has a frying pan with a plate that doubles as a lid. And we'll be using that as soon as we get a fire going. Now to go with the mess kit, because it doesn't come with silverware, this is cheap Ozark Trail plastic silverware. It's like $1. That way you get everything that you need: knife, fork, spoon. And we have a twin size air mattress. I believe this was $17. It was under 20. And this is by Intex. It's nothing special. It's like the cheapest air mattress that you can get, but it's gonna be better than sleeping on the ground. And then finally, the final thing that rounds us out to about $100 is this is the Ozark Trail 4-person tent. These are pretty common. They're $40. You go to any campground around here, you see these tents everywhere because they're cheap and they're easily available. It's not supposed to rain tonight, so it's not like we're gonna put this thing through the paces. But, you know, we'll see how a 4-person tent is for one single guy on an island. And now time for things that I've brought that I already had, that I didn't necessarily buy at Walmart. They don't really tie into the budget. Now the first thing is a really cheap tarp. And we're using that to put down on the floor here. That way we don't put any holes in the bottom of the tent. This is like a cheap $7 tarp from Harbor Freight. It goes in with the spirit of the camp, and a lot of times, you know, you don't have to have one that's camouflaged. Even if you just got a blue one laying around the garage, it'll work just fine as a ground sheet for your tent. Next thing is an axe, and I don't do anything in the woods without this axe. I don't even deer hunt without this axe. This thing goes everywhere with me. And so I know it doesn't really factor into the $100 budget, but it's just something that I always have, and so that's what comes with me. Now, I did bring my fire making kit, and the reason is because you might notice that we didn't get a stove. And the reason is that we're going to be cooking on a campfire tonight in the spirit of trying to get the most for this budget-friendly Walmart camp. I didn't bother wasting money on a stove because, again, you can just cook on a fire, right? And so we're going to use this to get the fire going. I ain't rubbing 2 sticks together. I ain't got time for do have a knife and a saw for any, you know, bushcrafty type things we might have to do. In this pocket, I do have a whole bunch of cordage. It's mostly for setting up a tarp, but, you know, the overhead tarp really wasn't in the budget for this $100 Walmart camp, so we're not setting one up. And like I said before, it's not really supposed to rain tonight anyway, so we really don't need one, and it's going to save us a lot of time. And the last thing is that I did bring a bundle of good oak firewood from my own personal stash, And the reason is like I said, you know, I had to come out here after work, and we've only got like maybe an hour and a half left of sunlight. So I don't want to spend that whole time gathering wood just so that we can cook supper. So we got all our gear. Now let's go ahead and set up the tent. Now we can set up our home. Now, full disclosure, I have set this tent up before, and it does actually fit in the stuff sack again. You know, it's kind of a rarity when it comes to cheap tents, but this one does it. Backwards. I'm trying to hustle. Unfortunately, it just, you know, never have time to do anything, it seems. As long as I get this tent up going by the time it gets dark, it'll be a lot easier to do something with a fire. Do have lights for the cameras too, so that's really not a concern. You know, with these dome tents, it's really not that hard to put them up. It's not rocket appliances, you know what I mean? Once we get the poles in, she just kind of clips up. Something like that, huh? The clips is way better than them bastards where you gotta slide the poles through the sleeves. Those ain't no fun. All right, so there's our budget tent erected. Now we just got to cover it up. Look at that, she's even got a pocket for your shoes. Front. Clip the corners and these points on the 4 poles. Go and wrap these around the poles. Now, I'm not expecting there to be some big massive windstorm tonight, but I'm still gonna guy it out anyway, because that helps to make sure that your mesh is separated from the roof and you get your proper ventilation. Now that we got our tent set up, now let's make it feel like a home inside. Now this thing's actually pretty spacious on the inside. Now we know from doing the Cub Scouts camp out that the Intex king size mattress, which is 2 sizes up from this twin, actually does fit in here. It takes up pretty much the whole inside of this tent, but it does fit. So I mean, you could, you know, I got a wife and 2 small children. We could definitely all fit in here. It wouldn't be fun, but you could all fit. So we'll start out with just getting our air mattress blown up. Now remember what I said before, the hose on this thing likes to pop out. To make sure it's on inflate. Now, let's get our budget sleeping bag out. Now, I have used this before. You know, that's what happens when you buy stuff like a month and a half, you know, before you actually get to film the video. You end up using most of it anyway. This is a son to get back in this stuff sack. Like, you gotta roll it up perfect. And you do have to be really careful when you take it out, because my wife found out that one of the compression straps ripped right out of the stuff sack there. So you just gotta go nice and easy. Easy does it. And there it is. I mean, it's not super thick. You know what I mean? Like, it says it's only rated for 50 degrees, and well, I believe it. Yeah. And we got us a place to sleep. Now this right here is my secret weapon. I pre-make these. These are cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. And you'd be hard pressed to find a better fire starter than that. You know, people try to get out here and do survival type things, and the truth is that when you're actually out in the wilderness, you know, there are no rules, so to speak. There's no right way and wrong way. The only right way is the way that gets the job done. This is a very quick and easy way to get the job done. There we go. Now this ain't gonna be some rip-roaring campfire. In fact, the only reason I'm lighting this right now is because without it, I don't have a way to cook my supper. So all I really want to do is just get these real thick bottom pieces smoldering. That way they're like coals, and then we can use them like a stove. So while that's going, I'm gonna go find me a couple sticks so that I can hang my pot. So for breakfast, we got Spam. We got eggs in the cooler. So we'll have a little Spam and eggs for breakfast. But tonight, boys, we're eating like kings. We got old Demi Moore chicken and dumplings. I don't think it's gonna fit. So I wanna see if that can of food is gonna fit inside this here little kettle. You know, number one reason that people have issues with stainless is because they just put food in there bare. And that's why we get a little cooking oil. And non-stick for the inside of our pan. Alright, let's see, is it gonna fit? Oh yeah. Oh, like it was made for it. Perfect. Let me get a little of this all on this lid of this kettle. And it'll be a lot easier to clean. So now, here we go. Now we're gonna have to watch that real closely, because another big reason that stainless gets food stuck to it real bad is because, you know, it gets burnt. Like there's too much heat. That's a beautiful thing about bringing canned food. Like, yeah, it's cheap, but you don't have to actually cook it, right? We just got to bring it up to temperature. And so that's as simple as it is, you know. It don't beat that. You know, I have a saying on this channel every time we do one of these campouts, and it's, everything tastes better in the woods. It doesn't matter if it's a can of Dinty Moore beef stew or chicken and dumplings or a frickin' ham sandwich. As long as you're out here in the outdoors, it's just, I don't know, it's that extra step it takes to prepare it, you know? I think it makes it that much more worth it. I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy this fire and watch my little hobo dinner cook. Tell you what, this is the life. This is almost done. We're just gonna give it a couple more minutes and then be eating good. You know, if you're watching this video because, you know, you're looking for inspiration to get out, get camping, and you know, you don't even have to pull up on an island like this. I mean, you just go to any old regular campground, and as we've shown here, campgrounds have fire rings, you know. You cook yourself a nice meal. All you need is $100. That's it. If it's something that you were thinking about doing, now is the time to go. Because all the times that you don't go, you know, sure, there's all kinds of excuses in everyday life these days. But one day you'll look back and you'll think about it and you'll think, I could have gone and I should have gone. And to you, my fine subscribers that have stuck with me through thick and thin, this Dr. Pepper's for you. This could get tricky to eat while this pan's a little hot. Let's see how we did. Oh yeah, that was a big old chunk of dumpling, all right. Oh no! You know, this fire ain't doing nothing for these mosquitoes. And I don't usually use bug spray, so I think that's more of a me problem. Yeah, I can't stand the smell. It smells so cancerous. I would not be surprised if we're woken up at some point by a bow fishing rig, because I've been hearing it all around here. The carp are jumping. Now, all around these islands are all the reeds, and that's where the carp spawn in this particular lake, and there's a lot of carp in this lake. And this is a very popular bow fishing destination. There we go. Use my firewood to make myself a table. I was thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy. Oh, party foul. All over my shoe. Oh, grody. My shoe's gonna smell delicious now. Of course, I forgot to bring paper towels because I'm an idiot. Yeah. We managed to cook a meal without burning it into the side of the pan. Our brand new stainless pan. I think I'm gonna get this fire ripping a little bit. Not burn down the whole island. And just hang out for a little bit. Well, that was a nice and cozy campfire. It's actually getting pretty late. It's actually well past my bedtime. Got the tent all organized here, so I guess the last thing that we're gonna do before we call it a night is the one thing I have yet to give my opinion on, and that is this here sleeping bag and this air mattress. So I guess we're gonna climb in and I guess let you know how that works. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be hard to fall asleep tonight. If it was any chillier, this sleeping bag might not be enough, but you know, I think this is a perfect bag for just summertime. Man, this air mattress is nice. That's for sure. So let you know if this air mattress deflates, and let you know if I stay snug as a bug in a rug. So we'll see you in the morning. Good morning. Very peaceful morning here. Wasn't woke up too bad by the bow fishing rigs. They all kind of left by the time I went to bed. I think right when I was going to bed, an airboat drove by pretty loud. Other than that, it wasn't bad. But I was then woken up at 1:30 to the sound of it pouring outside. And so it wasn't supposed to rain. It was supposed to rain tonight for most of the week at the forecast. You know, like a day before, they just took that off for some reason, and then it rained anyway. So, good on the weather. And so I did get up and pull the firewood inside. So that's dry, but all the little stuff that you need to get a fire going is soaking wet. And we are requiring a fire to eat our breakfast. On the plus side, the Ozark Trail 4-person $40 tent did not leak at all. Right out of the package. It rained for several hours. I don't know how many inches of rain fell. It rained pretty good, enough that, you know, there's puddles on the ground sheet all under it. My boat's soaked, so that'll be fun. Let's get a fire going and see if we can get some breakfast going. The thing with Spam is it is already cooked. That's why we bought it. Don't really have to cook it that long. But just gotta get it warm. And now that we got it warm, let's go ahead and toss some eggs in there. Now, it might not exactly be 5-star accommodations, but just something about waking up to the noise of the frogs and the birds, and, you know, just a nice, easy breakfast over a campfire. You know, this is the life. This tastes much better than it looks. Now, I didn't really have in the $100 budget for coffee manufacturing supplies, so yeah, it didn't make the cut. So we're just gonna have to get our caffeine boost from Dr. Pepper Blackberry. When I woke up this morning and I looked up at the netting for the like the mesh, I heard it would be 1,000 mosquitoes on the other side trying to get in. And man, the second I come out of that tent, they were on me. They must have just were smelling me. Wanted to jump my bones. You know, most places, you really don't have to go too far. You just got to get a little bit off the beaten path, and you can find yourself a nice little slice of paradise. You really don't get any better than this. And the best part about it, you can get out here for $100. I mean, we're not going to factor in the $20,000 boat and all that fun stuff. But you don't need to camp out of a boat. You can throw all this stuff in a backpack and take a bicycle. There's 1,000 reasons not to do something. At the end of the day, they're just all excuses. I slept really great on that air mattress. That is, man, it's bulky. So it's not gonna be like a backpacking type of sleep system. But man, if you're just camping out of your car and you're alone, oh, that thing was great. I woke up from the rain, and I'm glad I did because I was able to get the firewood inside. And that sleeping bag was perfect for them temperatures. So I'd say, you know, you really wouldn't want to use that thin of a bag if you're, you know, it's springtime or the fall, you know, it's getting a little crispy, you know, that might not be out. But in the dead of summer, man, that's just a perfect bag for when it gets a little chill by morning. You know, like I said, I really can't complain. This it's gonna suck trying to get all this back together now that it's soaking wet. But like I said, at the end of the day, we found out that that tent don't leak. And for $40, I mean, you can't beat that. That tent's a 4-man. Just consider it a palace for one. I really wouldn't want to fit 4 adults in there. I don't think 4 American adults are fitting in there, even if you Lincoln log them head to toe. $40 for just a person or maybe a couple. Oh, that tent's perfect. Now you're gonna want to keep treating it with like Scotch Guard and all that. You know, the more that you get something that's supposed to be like waterproof, wet, there's a coating on it. That's what it's kind of like Rain-X. It repels the water and keeps it from penetrating the fabric, because that fabric alone is not waterproof. You get that wet, it's soaking through. And that's why if you get it water to pool, a lot of times it'll still soak through, especially on like these cheaper tents, because it's not really meant to do that. Do a little maintenance on the thing every now and then, and they sell the waterproofing right in the aisle at Walmart. You know, just give her a good spray down once a year, and you know, you should be all set. I was able to sit up in there, get all my stuff organized, like unlike my little Stansport Scout tent. I like that tent, but from a practicality standpoint, all you're gonna do in that thing is sleep, because it's all you can do. That's all there is the room for. The difference is, though, is that that's a $30 tent, right? And I used to think, before this, you spend $30 on a tent, there's no way it's gonna be waterproof. That's why I always put up a tarp. A tent can't leak if it doesn't get wet. In fact, there's a spot in the roof where it looks like whoever made it in the factory in China, like they took the sewing machine and made a heart. Like there's a bunch of holes in there that's shaped like a heart, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Some, you know, 21-year-old Chinese girl is getting a little hefty with the needle, so like that thing's gonna leak. But this right here, that tent is worth $40. I'm telling you that right now. You know, if you are just thinking about getting into camping, and maybe this is your foray into dipping your toes in the water, and you need a cheap, get that tent. If it didn't take up so much room, I think it might be my standard fishing camp tent from now on. The reason I deal with that cheap little Stansport is because it packs up really compact. It is a backpacking tent. Is it a great backpacking tent? Absolutely not. $30, what do you expect? You know, for $10 more, you can have this thing. Now that breakfast is done, I think I'm gonna quit yapping, get all this gear packed up, and then I think we're gonna do some fishing. We'll get cleaned up, get on the water. do things like have fires on these islands to make sure it's out. You know, all it takes is one small mistake and it's all gone. You ain't never get it back. You know, you gotta make sure that your fire's out. Absolutely. Yo, it only takes a couple extra minutes to make sure it's taken care of, but it's extremely important and will go a long way to keeping nature pristine. Now let's do some fishing.
There we go. Oh boy. Yes! All right. Now that was the fish I was talking about. He actually might not be legal. He might be too big. He might be a slot. Let's see. Jig came right out of his mouth. .5 inches. They have to be less than 20 inches to keep. So that right there, that is a slot walleye right at the end. I can't tell you how much I needed this fish. So we're gonna let him go now. And you know, I think that might just do it for this trip. That was the cherry on top, so to speak. Now, you know, the fishing was kind of a grind here this afternoon, but you know what they say, if you're gonna catch one, make it be a good one. You know, it probably would have been better if I would have got my ass out of bed in the morning, but really just don't have too many opportunities to go and do that. So, yeah, I enjoyed myself. Any day out here in the great outdoors is better than working, right? Do me a favor. If you enjoyed coming along for this fishing camp adventure, please hit that like button. It'll help to share this with new audiences. And if you really enjoyed watching this video and you want to see more, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified of future fishing adventures. This has been Midwest Angling. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.